I think you'll see how well that works. I
I
am
don't
just
have headphones, but it's okay, right?
you're fine. Yeah, I have a special little setup, but that is not very much not required. You got Zoom working, and that's fantastic. It's
Let
nice
me
to see
just,
you.
it's nice to see you too. You look great. Hey, mom, will you turn, no, you, will you just turn down the baby monitor so we don't have to hear baby bum?
Okay.
I can hear, I can hear the child's TV playing in the background. And Colette is like, wow, what is
I can't
this?
hear it. Hi, Colette. I haven't seen you yet.
No one
Oh,
has. He was born March 5th, right before all the stuff
oh, the
broke loose.
quarantining.
And so, yeah, I mean, we had her
Hi,
in the
friend.
hospital and everyone was like, it'll be fine. Kids don't get it. It'll be fine. And then like 4 days later, it was like, it's not fine. But she is a redhead. I don't know
Oh,
where that
good.
came from. Yeah. Your mom said you were also a redhead, a baby, like
Mm-hmm.
a baby redhead. And then you turned
Yeah,
very,
like
very blonde.
strawberry. Yep.
So,
Yes, yes.
we'll
I'm
see.
actually not quite as blonde as I used to be, but I'm still very, very blonde.
Yes. I love it. How's
Um,
Maine?
it's good. It's good. I just was taking a drive. It's very pretty.
Nice.
So first thing, Stacia, what's not wrong with your life?
uh,
Doesn't have
we
to be
live,
something right, just something not wrong.
not wrong, is living in Sonora. I thought
Awesome.
it would be really weird and hard, and we have a big yard and a nice house. Well, small but nice. And I just think about all the people in the city, and I'm like, it's hard with two kids, but oh my gosh, it is not wrong to be in this. Okay, she's gonna go to the yeah.
That's fine. Hi,
Hi,
Colette. Hi, Donna.
hi, Colette.
Hi, Krista. You look like your mom today.
Yeah, like I thought it would be really hard to be in Sonora, and it's so not. It's great. So it's not wrong.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so with that, that means it's time to watch the theme song for
Oh,
the
yeah.
show. I hope you're ready. This, here we go.
Eager
Get
anticipation.
it ready. Yep.
Welcome to Krista's new talk show. It's really something, don't you know? There's a friend and maybe there's a cat. Maybe they'll take some time to chat. My mother thinks she's funny. My mother thinks she's funny. My mother thinks she's funny. And maybe you will too.
Are you ready for this?
So with that, thank you very much. Today on My Mother Thinks I'm Funny, I have my good friend Stacia. She is a mom, a social worker, and she also happens to be my literal oldest friend, because we have been friends since ballet in whatever year that was.
Like age
So welcome.
3
Thanks
or
for being on the
4.
show. I
Oh,
think so. Yeah,
thanks for
just
having
three,
me.
maybe three for me, four for you.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Um, So that brings us to the first segment of the show. Is there a cat near you? If so, please introduce us to your cat.
She is not near me,
Is she around?
but she's
That's
out
okay.
running trying to kill birds. Her name is Kira. She was a city cat, a Palo Alto cat, and we brought her back to Sonora, and now she's a total outdoor cat and really only comes in to eat and occasionally wake Tristan up at 5 a.m.
I
Yeah.
mean, it sounds like she's definitely living the life.
Oh,
Have
she's
you seen the collars that they make for cats that are there to help stop them from killing songbirds? And they look like clown collars. They're like giant ruffle colored things because songbirds can identify color very well.
yeah,
They're
we thought about it, but
they're pretty
she
funny.
climbs and we're afraid she's gonna like choke. I don't know. It's only been
Yeah.
one baby bird so far. and a lot of like bugs, and we're okay with bugs.
Bugs are fine. Oh yeah, Jerry ate a spider one time. Just
Ew.
made that sound too.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Yeah. If she comes around, I'll pop her in because she's adorable.
Okay, great. Jerry is over here, but he looks like he's. Dude, you want to say hi? There you go.
Oh.
Say hi, Jerry Orbach.
Reminds
Thank
me
you,
of
Jerry. You may return.
your original Tigger. It reminds me of Tigger.
Yeah, he's kind of got the same coloring as Tigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
Scaredy
nice.
cat.
He's also very sweet.
Aw,
Not quite as scared, no, but he's still very sweet.
that's good.
So, I've been asking people about their huh moment,
Mm.
something that they went, huh. Do you have a huh moment to share?
Oh, 100%. So when you have a 2-year-old, you have many of these moments throughout the day. Most recently, we've been doing the gardening thing because that's what you do now that you have time, space. And I looked outside. Jonas is my 2-year-old. I looked outside and he has a little plastic sandbox, and he had replanted most of the plants from our containers into the sandbox. So I look out and he had pulled like the jalapeno plant, put it in the sand, covered it up like a little mound with sand, and he had these little rows of all of our plants in his sandbox. And I was so like kind of angry, but so dumbfounded and like, oh, he's just planting plants. So
Of course.
he's really, okay. And then proceeded to try and rehome the plants. It was,
Yeah, did you move the plants or did you just leave them in the
yeah,
sandbox?
no, we moved them back to the nutrient dense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know that sand, is nutrient dense, but is it so long?
Yeah.
They could still grow.
It's just so many moments where you're like, oh, your blood boils and you're so mad, but you're like, wait, a 2-year-old, and I planted the plants with him. So he was just doing what we did, but with,
he learned.
It was a hump moment.
Huh.
Yeah. Frustrating,
well-
awesome.
Yeah, and like I think something for you both to learn, right?
Yeah.
So on the show we talk about, does your mother think you're funny? The very first episode, my mother sent in a joke, and since then we have had, my guest mothers send in jokes. So your mom actually sent in 3 jokes. I don't know, because I have your mom's phone number. I texted her directly. So I have not seen any of these. You haven't seen any of these. So we get to watch the jokes that your mother sent in. I am very excited.
She made a
I am
video?
just very excited. Oh, she made 3 videos.
Oh my
Okay,
Lord.
so we'll do this one first.
Okay.
Okay. I like I said, oops. I'm playing my video again. That's not right. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
All right, this is the first one.
Okay, this one's for Celia. Did you hear about the restaurant called Karma? There's no menu. You get what you deserve.
I really like
Actually,
that.
that's pretty good.
Very cute. Yeah, and I like that. She was like, this one's for your mom. Okay, let's do the next one.
Okay.
Okay, it's this one. Here we go.
Here's one for me. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything.
I like her emphatic reading.
I do too. I really like that one. Okay, final. This is our third one.
Mhm.
Do.
I think my mom thinks she's funny.
I think your mom is funny.
Yeah.
What did the Buddhists say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything.
What happened?
Sorry. My
Oh,
husband
someone was
is-
calling me. Okay, hold
Oh,
on.
that was you, not me?
No, that was me.
Okay.
Someone was calling me. Okay, here we go. Try again. I want to hear about the Buddhist and the hot dog vendor.
What did the Buddhists say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything.
Oh, geez.
I think my
amazing.
favorite part about those jokes is your reaction to them. We're just like, oh,
Cringy.
yeah. No, I think they're great. I think they're great. You know, there certainly is something to be said for punny jokes.
Totally. Oh, she's
So
good.
she is good. Your mom's very good. Uh, so does your mother think you're funny?
Occasionally, but I think that in general, I'm like a very serious person. You probably would agree with that. So most people I don't think would say, "Oh, that's Stasia. She's so funny." Moreover,
Right.
occasionally I have funny moments. I can maybe hit a joke once a week, but I'm pretty
I don't
serious.
think you're not funny. Uh, you know, but I don't think you use humor like that's not your tool,
No,
right? It's just not your go-to. Whereas, you know, like
no.
that'll be my go-to for like diffusing a situation or whatever it is. That's not your go-to. Is
And it's
humor.
really
I don't
hard because, yeah,
I don't know what
Tristan
it
like
is, but
wants me, my husband wants me to watch stand up, and I just don't think it's funny. Like a lot of it.
most of it isn't.
It's just like, really, he said that? I don't know.
I think there's a lot
My
of different
husband thinks
feelings
it's
on
really
stand-up.
funny. He laughs so hard, he sounds like he's gonna like need an oxygen mask or something. Like I don't know. It's just the way it goes.
Have you seen
But
any stand-up or like any comedy that you're like, oh yes, this is
yeah.
funny?
Oh, yes, yes. Like really old, like George Carlin, like really early
Okay,
old
all right.
comedy. Yeah, like usually it's toilet humor. I would say that toilet humor will always
Ah,
make me laugh, like really gross stuff. But like
farts are always funny.
parts are always funny. Racist stuff and all that. I mean, I think it's the social worker in me. It just makes me nervous.
I don't know. Well, I think I also can like definitely remember, you know, the only time there's a bug crawling around my computer screen and I'm just like watching it. That's fun.
I'm glad
The
I'm that
only time
interesting.
like I it's good. It's fine. I don't know where it went. I remember watching the only time I remember watching it at all, The Three Stooges, was at your house. Your dad would put
Oh,
it on,
yeah. Yep.
you know, and it was always, you know, like toilet humor, old school humor,
Totally. Maybe that's why.
and that is funny.
It
Maybe, you
really
know, I think
is.
we do kind of get our sense of humor from our parents a lot of the time, right? Like I certainly do characters and so does my mom, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Like
think that.
she'd be the French like hair masseuse when, you know, giving me a bath and,
Oh.
you know, right, and do like the Herman voice, which was just a
She does. She does do pretty good voices.
yeah, she's always done voices. She's always done that, you know, and so maybe, you know, we do get sense of humor from our parents. Maybe that's why you know, our old school Three Stooges, George Carlin humor is because that's what your dad would watch.
Probably. Yeah.
But I remember, like, you know, your mom laughing a lot.
Yes. No. For sure. It was. We had lots of like humor in our family. I just think as like especially since being a parent, probably it's probably made me more serious. Being a social worker and then being a parent, it's like I don't have time. But I mean, that's not true. I just kind of
That's
always,
interesting because I feel like very often people have the opposite reaction.
hmm, like they would
You
seek
know,
it
like
out. Like,
the more that their life gets serious, the more that they need to use humor to kind of cope and to relieve the stress of it.
yeah,
So,
which is why like I used to work in the hospital system as a medical social worker, and a lot of times we call it like gallows humor, where you've been in the ER all day and seeing all kinds of tragic, terrible things, and yet you're like making a joke about something stupid, and it's kind of inappropriate. But that's how many of those people in that profession cope. And I think to some degree, yeah, I would do that. But I don't know if people would just. I just would say that nobody says, "Oh, that's Stasia. She's so funny." Not like you. But it's okay. It's okay. I don't mind.
yeah, we all have our own things. And you don't have to like stand up.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't like most stand up. And I actually like it is rare that I will watch comedy. I think partly because I'm like, oh, this is just normal.
These are
This
just
is
normal
not
people
special.
saying normal things. This isn't a show.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's nothing interesting. Like this is just normal.
That's funny.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of
Yeah.
yeah, everyone has their own coping mechanisms and their own tools, and I don't think that you've ever used humor as a tool.
No. Maybe with patients, like if I walk in and I'm talking to a patient and they're like in the hospital and they're really sick and I'm like, "Oh, this freaking sucks, right?" And they're like, "Whoa," a lot of times I had younger people, she like just like said it like it is or something, and then they laugh, and then maybe it's a slight bit of humor, but ice breaking, kind of things like that. So maybe perhaps a little bit of a tool.
What do you think you do use as your tool?
Oh gosh. I would say I'm just a very open book. Like, it can be like, say I'm with the kids, and at the park or something, and I meet a mom, and within 5 minutes, I'm telling her something probably pretty honest and personal. And so I'd say just like sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of value in learning to be vulnerable and being able to do it. And I
Yeah,
think
and just
maybe a lot
open.
of us who use humor don't have that same capability, and it kind of keeps us closed off.
Totally. Ooh,
So
we're getting in there. The psyche of the non-humorous folk.
it's my talk
That's why you're
show.
like,
That's what
be on my talk show, and I'm like, but I'm not funny, not at all.
it's not really like what it's about, right? The title of the show is
Yeah,
My Mother Thinks I'm Funny.
it's perfect. It's actually really creative. I hope you get
Thanks.
noticed.
I just, wanted to. Yes, Jerry, there's a bug on you. Feel free to attack it. Uh, I just kind of wanted to do it one day, and so I did, right?
Cool story.
Um, yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm just going to do it. It doesn't matter if nobody but my mom is watching. Uh,
I watched a
which
couple, and they're
I
really
know she
fun.
is. Oh, thanks, thanks. So that means right, the next section, right? I'd ask people, what they want to share that maybe they're working on, or that they just kind of want to talk about, and like, what are you up to? What do you want to share that you're working on, or want to plug? If you're like, oh wow, I've just watched all of Dexter, and I want to plug that. That's fine too.
Oh gosh. Well, funny you mentioned show. Tristan the other day was like, I know a show you'd love. And he's like, have you ever seen Lost? And I was like, no, never. So I've been watching all of Lost, and I love it. It's like so random. So I breastfeed Colette. She's 2 months old. So I have a lot of like 10 to 15 minutes time breaks where I can just
Hmm.
kind of zone out. And believe me, those are really necessary. So I'll just pop it on my phone or like the iPad or something. And I've just been loving Lost. And I know it's like campy and weird, but partially I like it because it's filmed in Hawaii. And so I'm always like, oh, it's so tropical. But I wouldn't plug Lost. I'm just saying it's random, but there's that. I think the coolest thing that I've been up to has been baking sourdough, which is so on a bandwagon of quarantine and COVID. But I've always wanted to try it. My really good friends, they have it's like a 6-year starter from Oakland, and they gave me a little bit, and that's been so cool to like do. And I let Jonas get up kind of near the counter, and he calls it Mama's Science Experiment, and we feed it, together, and he thinks that's cool. And some of my loaves have looked really good, and some of them have looked really bad, and it's just kind of an adventure in baking. That's so cool because it's not a recipe really. I mean, you can just do all these variations and just kind of learn the process and then go from there, which I think is really rad. So, yeah.
I mean, you know that I'm a big baker. So, okay, number one, the Hawaii thing, that's part of why I love Magnum PI. And we went to
Really?
Hawaii together once, and I think that's the last time I've been, and I want to go back so bad.
Oh, we
But
were so little. You have to go back. I mean, now you live on the wrong coast to go to Hawaii.
I know,
It's real far. You could just go to
I
like
know,
Costa Rica or something,
I know.
or Europe for that matter.
Yeah,
Well, not now.
but no. But yes, no, it's amazing. It's lovely to just like watch and be like, oh, right. I
Yeah.
remember at one point you and I had this fantasy of like living in Hawaii together with our like apartments and just kind of like, do you remember that?
Probably.
Yeah.
I feel like we had a lot of like, in the future, we should do
Yeah.
this. And it was like totally reasonable.
Very reasonable. Yeah, in our like vision, we were like independent women who just kind of did whatever they. I don't know how we were making money, but I
Oh, it
don't
was
think that
fun though.
mattered. Yeah.
No, money doesn't
Um,
matter when you're like 6, 7, 8.
I feel like we were in middle school, but yes.
Okay. Yeah, Hawaii was cool. I remember it was funny because on our honeymoon, we were back in Kona, right?
Hmm.
And we went to a luau. I made Tristan go to a luau because he
Good.
had never been. So, you have to do it. And when we were in honeymooners, so that was fun. But it was the same hotel complex that you and I think, stayed at, or we went to the same luau at the same complex. And I was looking around going like, this is weird. I know this place. Like I've been here before. And then I looked back at a couple photos and sure enough, it was probably the same luau, actually.
Probably. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun.
That's very awesome. But
Yeah.
you know that I am also a baker, right? My dad had a sourdough starter when I was a kid. And I feel like a sourdough starter is somehow like very like emblematic of the area too. Like Gold Rush and sourdough starter go hand in hand.
Totally.
Yeah, so I think it's fun to be able to kind of do it in a place that is like goes back to it. And it should be, right? Like rustic. It should be an experiment. It should be not something that you have to stress out about and worry about. It's just like you're figuring out how to put flour and water together to make bread because that's all it is.
Yeah, totally. And that, because like I feel like my baking style had been like, here's the recipe, follow it nearly exactly. And totally not the case with sourdough. It's like, yeah, here's the steps, but what you do in the in between, kind of up to you. And it's kind of scary. It's kind of like living on the edge for the more type A person.
I keep saying that like, you know, any kind of baking, but especially bread making, right? It's science, but it's not science. Like it's not a
Right.
science, but it's science.
So fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a really fun kind of thing to come out of being home all the time and having all the hours in the day to do all the kneading and the folding and all that.
Yep. So finally, the last thing is engage your impulses, right? And I talk about, you know, how are you like engaging your impulses? You see something and you're like, I want to do that, and there's nothing stopping you, so you do it. So I actually was making baguettes with a friend on Friday, and I was like, I'm gonna make these on the grill because I didn't want to turn the oven on because it was hot. Well, they were burnt. The bottoms got burnt because when I put the water in for the steam, it turned the
Oh,
it put
Oh.
out the gas. So I had to like restart it, and then the heat wasn't evenly distributed. Anyway, but
Right.
that was my engaging my impulses of being like, hey, I'm gonna do this on the grill, and it didn't work, but that's okay. So, how have you engaged your impulses?
Ooh, lady, I'm thinking. Interesting questions, Krista.
That's what show. You said you've seen it. I asked the same questions.
Well, here's the thing. I have a 2-month-old, so I haven't quite made it to the last piece. I mean, it's so boring, but I guess the other day I ate ice cream in the middle of the day.
Heck yes.
That was oh, but here's the catch. It was Thai tea flavored ice cream.
I did that too.
Really?
Mochi ones.
No, mine wasn't. Oh, but see, that's
Mine was
even
mochi.
easier because it's literally you just pick it up. This was like me standing over the sink with a pint. But I was breastfeeding, I was super starving, and I was like, there's caffeine in Thai tea, and I don't necessarily want to eat this at night. So 1 o'clock is perfect.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but
That counts, right?
it counts. Yeah, Tristan came out and he was like, oh, I see you're having ice cream in his judgy way. And I was like, okay, I am. And you know what? It gave me the perfect caffeine kick and I no regrets.
No, of course not. you know, you saw something that you wanted to do, you had an impulse to do it, and you did it, right?
Totally.
I feel like that's kind of, if we're given anything from this, it's that, right? To do the things that you want to do without second guessing yourself or judging yourself for doing them. You don't need to overthink it.
No, there was hardly any thought involved. Just a,
Just a spoon and a pint of
this is
ice
a
cream.
good idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally.
So I am going to, with that, I will play the outro.
Ooh.
I know. We have an outro, like, it's so big.
Oh, is this you playing?
For being here.